Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of All Hands with the New Warehouse. You see today, this shirt I'm shouting out. I'm shouting out the New Warehouse this week. Shouting myself out, shouting out the team, the New Warehouse, because we are taking on 3PL fulfillment services, which we announced last week. And it's been an incredible week getting that started, and we took in inbounds this week. I think we took in something like, I don't know, 14 trucks, something like that. So definitely getting inventory in the building and then getting some outbound started next week as well. So very exciting times. And thank you to everyone who's reached out and showed support, has expressed interest in partnering together in some creative ways, which we're all about the kind of creative partnerships and creative ways to be able to look at different types of things within the warehousing industry. So definitely stay tuned for that. Some interesting things in the works and development for the new space, and also some interesting ideas to be able to showcase some technologies and show them off to you as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. This week, aside from 3PL activities and all of that stuff going on, and of course, shout out to my partner Xperia Global as well. On that, remember that we can do everything now, pretty much. You get product in at the port, we can pick it up at the port, and we can bring it to our distribution center. We can do omni-channel fulfillment. We can do FBA prep. We can do e-commerce fulfillment. You name it, we can probably do it or figure it out. And we have a large amount of resources to be able to do that now. So really, really a great partnership and very, very thankful to them as well. So aside from those activities this week, we had 2 audio podcasts, of course, Monday and Wednesday. Every Monday and Wednesday, there's a new episode. Monday, we had episode with Pio and Magna Hadaland was the guest on there. And Pio is really interesting setup and system. If you didn't get a chance to listen yet, make sure you definitely check out the episode. They're taking auto stores technology, so the actual auto store solution, and changing the business model in a way that is suited to the small and medium-sized business. Really kind of a creative model, and definitely absolutely love that they're focusing on the small to medium sized businesses and helping them to be able to get on their automation journey and also make their logistics fulfillment services and fulfillment business a lot easier to do. So definitely some very creative solutions that they've done already overseas and starting to enter the North American market as well. So definitely take a listen to that and keep an eye out for what PO is going to be up to in the future. And then on Wednesday, we had an episode with Ali Javidan of Range Energy, which is super interesting. There's a lot of talk about electrification of fleets, electrification of trucks, but they're actually electrifying the trailer itself, which I think is a really, really interesting approach, and really gives you the ability to have sort of a hybrid approach. And definitely listen to that episode because really creative what they're doing and the flexibility that they have as well with these trailers. It's really, really pretty fascinating how they've thought about this and how they're going about it and approaching this problem and trying to solve this issue. So definitely check out those episodes anywhere you listen to podcast or at thenewwarehouse.com as well. And also, I do want to give a shout out to our friends at Manifest, the show. Definitely looking forward to February and the second time that we'll be attending, and we'll actually be there doing podcasts live from the floor as well. But thank you definitely for the coverage and the shout out within the newsletter. It's called The Fest. If you guys are not subscribed to that, make sure you are subscribed to that. It has like all the news for our industry and also job postings on there as well, funding news, all kinds of things. Really, really great newsletter. So very, very happy that our fulfillment announcement could be a part of that newsletter as well. So definitely check that out. So for today's episode, our safety tip, we're going to have a safety tip from another guy who just started his 3PL and fulfillment business over in the LA area. That's Arsen Janikian of Ops Engine. Really great guy. I've been getting to know him over the past couple months. We met back at ProMat, and he's just transitioned into opening his own fulfillment center as well. So definitely check him out. Check out Ops Engine over there on the West Coast. Really interested to see how he develops that and builds that out. But he's going to give us the safety tip for the week. And then our main segment is going to be with Ross Brenner of Profitrust, and I'll talk a little bit about that after the safety tip. So let's throw it over to Arsen for that safety tip.
Hey everyone, this is Arsen Janikian from Ops Engine. Today's warehouse safety tip. 6S is my favorite operations management tool because it encompasses many important characteristics and affects several areas of operations management and leadership. It's also my personal favorite because it ties in with my operations principle, starting with safety, quality, delivery, and cost in that specific order. Let's get into the 6S. Starts with sorting, followed by setting things in order. Shine, meaning cleaning. Standardize, which encompasses labeling to infuse the predictability of your operations and your surrounding. And sustain, and last but not least, safety. This allows your warehouse operations it improves your warehouse operations cleanliness, the organization of it, prevents injuries, dramatically increases efficiency, the morale of your staff, quality of work, loss prevention, predictability in your process and workflows, and easier to train new hires. And last but not least, helps with employee retention as well. For more information about Ops Engine, you can visit us at opsengine.co. Thank you.
All right, great safety tip there from Arsen, and also congratulations again to him on the startup of Ops Engine. Definitely check them out over there on the West Coast in the LA area. And definitely always love the 5S idea. So adding that 6S makes total sense, and probably should be in there originally, I think, maybe, right? And we'll definitely be doing some interesting 5S projects in our fulfillment center as well. So we'll be hoping to showcase those on social media on our various channels. And we have an interesting partnership as well that'll help us to accomplish some of those 5S goals. So stay tuned for that. And in our main segment today for this week, it's going to be a conversation with me and Ross Brenner. Ross Brenner is of Profitrust, and Profitrust, if you are shipping parcels, they have an automated system that actually just kind of plugs into your UPS, FedEx, DHL accounts, and does automatic auditing on them to see where you can recoup money that otherwise you probably would have glanced over or would have not had the time to dedicate resources to it. Pretty incredible some of the savings they're able to get some of their clients, and the model is great. I mean, and if you don't save money, you don't pay anything. So kind of a no-brainer. So Ross will dive more into that, and we'll talk a little bit too about kind of the parcel market right now and UPS strike, things like that. So definitely listen to this, and if you are interested in what Profitrust is doing and exploring that, there is a link in the description, and I'll also drop it in the comments here so you can easily access that. So thanks for tuning in this week, and here is our main segment with Ross Brenner. Hey guys, welcome to this week's main segment of All Hands with the New Warehouse podcast. Here I'm going to be joined by Ross Brenner. He is the Senior Vice President at Profitrust, and Profitrust is allowing you to save lots of money on your parcel shipments. We're going to talk a little bit about how that works and what their tool does, and we're also going to touch too a little bit on the parcel market, what's going on right now, a little bit on the UPS strike is very timely, right, in the parcel market. So, Ross, welcome. Thanks for joining me. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Well, yes, definitely. It's been great to get to know you over the past couple months. And I got to say first, before we dive into parcel talk and all that, like, congratulations to Ross on having a son recently, his second one. So, congratulations. Always shout out to Team Dad over there, definitely.
That's right. Thank you.
So it's great to have you join us. And obviously, parcels are such a big topic within the supply chain community, warehouse logistics community overall. And we're seeing parcels all the time in our daily lives as consumers as well. But you guys are very much involved in helping companies to understand data around parcels and how to extract savings within those parcel shipments. When we talk about high volume, those expenses can really add up. So tell us a little bit about Profitrust and what it is that you guys do exactly.
Yeah, so we're simply a technology company that allows our clients to get what they paid for. And when I say that, I mean every time a client or a shipper in general that uses FedEx, UPS, or DHL sends out a package or a parcel, there's about 40 different refund categories that our technology looks for in terms of getting them money back, right? The package was delayed, it was damaged, there was a fuel surcharge assessed, a residential surcharge, a dimensional adjustment. There's all these different categories of refunds that clients should be looking for that don't utilize a service like ours that manually file for a refund.
Mm.
But the problem is there's so many categories that are overlooked and so much money being left on the table that a profit trust system was developed to capture the money back and get the clients the refunds that they're entitled to. So if a package is delivered more than 60 seconds late on a
Mm.
standard overnight package, clients don't know or can't figure out the timeliness
Yeah.
on when the package was delivered. But our system, simultaneously with the delivery, understands the exact timestamp of when it was delivered and applies for the credit on the credit on the client's behalf. So essentially, getting them the money back that they're owed and making sure that they're getting what they're paid for. And we do this strictly on a contingency basis. So we actually don't make any money unless we save our clients money. So we put our money where our mouth is,
Mm.
and we basically help them save money without coming out of pocket. And we also provide them with the data and analytics to help them understand their small parcel shipping needs, how they're doing it. Is their late percentage going up? Is their cost per pound going up? Are their dimensions going up? Have they added new SKUs? So we really help them understand internally their business and also save them money on the back end when they're owed it, rather than applying manpower or bandwidth and paying someone $25 an hour to go get back $6 on a claim. It just doesn't make business sense. So companies bring us on to kind of automate the whole process. We connect to the carrier API through their username and password, and it's a seamless process from there. No IT integration, no manual uploads of invoices because we're connected to the carrier API.
Mm.
Everything flows perfectly and seamlessly, and they just start seeing credits back into their FedEx, UPS, or DHL account without having to actually take any action. So it's a really great system. I love it because we're saving our clients money, and I'm sure they love it because they're saving money. They
Yeah.
don't have to do anything to get the money back. So it's a really great technology. And frankly, anyone that ships with a FedEx or UPS or DHL should have it in their back pocket because it's almost like an airbag for shipping, right? Something
Mm.
goes wrong, you've got your protection.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not. I think it is so interesting too because I think even like those like minuscule data points, like you said, like just like 60 seconds late on an overnight shipment, right? I mean, I think a lot of times, and especially for definitely, I would say even like the small to medium sized business category, like to be able to get to that granular level of data, or even like have the resource or the time to sit down and look at that type of data to do those kind of audits, I think is very difficult. So I mean, tell us a little bit about like, you talk about that it's automated. I mean, if somebody was actually to sit down and do this type of work manually, I mean, what would that even look like? I mean, is it even kind of realistically feasible to do it in a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And the answer to that is they're being retroactive, meaning they're looking at the invoices that have already come out. Not to
Hmm.
mention, they only have 15 days to file for the claim.
Yeah.
And what do you know? The carrier sends you your invoice 7 or 10 days later, right? So they, on purpose, give you less time to actually apply. So to sit down and be retroactive, you have to look at your invoice, you have to understand what happened, where did something go wrong? Where was there an infraction? Call up your carrier, email your carrier, get in touch with them, provide them with the proof or validity behind your claim. And it is a cumbersome process and it takes up time. And some companies have literally someone dedicated to this process on their own.
Hmm.
And for me, I find that when you can automate a system, it's almost going to be entirely better. And I always compare it to like Easy Pass, right? Before Easy Pass came out, there was a guy working the toll booth,
Yeah.
and he could do 100 cars in an hour, and he was doing a good job collecting the coins and change, putting it in the little drop box, and the car would go.
Mm.
Now Easy Pass is out, and they can process 2,000 cars in an hour without actually having someone standing there doing that manual process. So being able to automate a system like this, not to mention we don't miss a single category, whereas someone doing it manually is going to miss five, six, seven categories that they may not have noticed or even known about.
Mm.
It creates problems and it just leaves money on the table. And that's the money that the shipper should have in their back pocket. We shouldn't be leaving money in these big conglomerate shipping companies like a FedEx or UPS's pockets because, frankly, they've got enough money. You know, they don't need any more of your $3 fuel surcharges.
Yeah.
How do you calculate the fuel index on a daily basis to know what you should be paying for fuel versus what is a fuel surcharge? How do you know whether your package was actually delivered late based on the timeliness of your tracker compared to when it was actually delivered? So these are all the things that someone that's doing it manually has a tough time doing. And of course, they do it and they probably do it to the best of their extent. But when we compare and show you what we would have gotten back to you in the last 30 days compared to what you actually got back, sometimes it's off by thousands of dollars just because they didn't know, they weren't aware. So when someone tries to do it manually, I'm sure they do a good job. I'm sure they're getting
Yeah.
money back, but it's just never to the extent of what it could be or should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, it's such a kind of drain on a resource too as well. And obviously, sometimes like you said, I mean, stuff gets missed, I'm sure. And, it's hard to zero in and figure out those things. So it's great to be able to automate that process and be able to see those savings. And I'm curious, from the savings perspective, I mean, what is like some of the most low hanging fruit around these kind of penalties or audits that you guys find the most that shippers, like when they first sign up with Profitrust, they're like, oh wow, like I had no idea like that we were, getting these many issues or gaps in the data?
So I think the lowest hanging fruit is a late delivery.
Mm.
And when I educate people on the 60-second courtesy window for a standard overnight or an overnight package, they have no idea that
Mm.
if it's literally a second late, then they're entitled to a refund for 100% of the cost of that package.
Wow.
And so when we start filing and they start seeing all this money back, they're almost like totally impressed with the fact that we're getting all the credits back. And we're doing it within 24 hours because remember, simultaneous with the delivery, our technology is going to work. We're filing the claim on their behalf. We're
Hmm.
getting them the money back. But you have to look at dimensional adjustments, right? What is your dimensions that you input versus dimensions they input? Is there a difference there? Well, we preserve your right to say that you've only shipped a 10 by 10 by 12 and they've charged you for
Mm.
12 by 12 by 10. So there's all these different factors there. Fuel surcharges are huge. Don't forget about damage packages.
Right.
Damage packages, once they're coded damaged in the FedEx, UPS, or DHL system, not only are we going to file for the claim of the cost of that shipping, but there's a standard $100 insured amount on every single package that a client ships. So we're going to file for the $16.99 that they paid for the package, but
Hmm.
we're also going to file for the $100 insured amount. So
Mm.
in essence, we're getting them back $216.99 for a package they only paid $16.99 for that they just got refunded on top.
Right.
So there's different ways of going about it. There's different factors that come into play here. But those categories in particular, I'm seeing the biggest credits on every single day.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's an interesting one too, because I know, especially like when I go ship something to my mom in Florida, they always say like, oh, there's $100 insurance for free, and I never thought about
Right.
it that way actually. That like, oh, if it's a damaged package, I get that insurance money back too. So Really interesting. I mean, how you're approaching that, and I think making it so seamless in a way too for companies to be able to do this and take advantage and get that cost savings and really make sure that they're getting the service that they're told that they should be getting, right, from these big
Yeah.
carriers. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm curious, also you guys are seeing a lot of data come through as well. I'm sure, being auditing all these things and seeing the different shipments. And now let's talk a little bit about kind of the parcel market right now. And I think one of the big news items is certainly that the UPS strike is like looming. What could happen? So I mean, what are you guys seeing on your side? What do you think? I mean, do you see data where people are starting to shift volume in different directions? What's kind of going on your side?
Yeah, I am seeing a lot of different information. Some people are
Hmm.
more confident that a deal is going to get done at the deadline,
Yeah.
which, frankly, in my opinion, I see that happening. I just don't
Hmm.
think that they can afford to let it go past the deadline
Yeah.
and can't really afford to let a strike happen. But you also have to be somewhat conservative because what if it does happen, right? And now UPS can't come and pick up your 1,000 packages that you plan on shipping that day.
Hmm.
So we're seeing some clients certainly shifting some volume to a FedEx, to a DHL, to some first or final mile carriers, even looking into 3PLs to see, they've got relationships with so many different
Yeah.
carriers. Like, does it make sense to utilize them while we figure out what's going on? But we're definitely seeing a shift in some volume. And it's just a matter of what's actually going to happen in these coming weeks that are either going to progress or stall the conversations that they've already had, stopped, started, stalled. But again, in my opinion, I have to think that a deal is going to get done. And if I had to make my best guess, and don't quote me on this, but if I had to make my best guess,
Mm.
I think end of July is probably a good time to see some rumblings of, a deal starting to get put into the works.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it would be. I kind of agree. I mean, I think the deal has to happen. I can't imagine that they would let the strike happen. Just looking at just the sheer volume of packages that they move, and also too
Yeah.
like the environment right now in parcel shipping. I think it's a little ripe for disruption in a way, and if they take a wrong turn, and leave kind of that, the little creak in the door, the crack in the door, and someone wants to put their foot in there, it could be seriously damaging, I think, for their business long term, right?
I think that a lot of these first and final mile carriers are, calling everyone and anyone that they possibly can that knows what that ships with UPS because they know that there's just so much uncertainty in the arena right now.
Hmm.
And if they can make a compelling enough case that they can do the job maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit cheaper, they have a good chance of winning that business when they didn't have that opportunity before because
Mm.
that shipper was so entrenched with UPS. They had
Yeah.
been with them for 25, 30 years. And now you're starting to see this uncertainty, and maybe there's that little creek that's open, and maybe you start getting a little bit of volume, get your foot in the door, you do a good job for them, and before you know it, they start shifting more and more volume. So it really just depends. Um, Again, I personally think that something's got to happen. A
Yeah.
deal's got to be made because if it doesn't, it's going to create a lot of disruption in the industry. And it's going to be interesting to see. But from what I'm seeing on my end, data wise, we're definitely seeing some shift in business, in
Mm.
volume, just because people want to be a little bit conservative. But I've also seen a lot of people that are just confident that something's going to get done and they've
Yeah.
just stayed with UPS. And frankly, the UPS employees, I feel, are just acting like, it's business as usual.
Mm.
They're still adjusting their rate cards, they're still trying to win business, they're still trying to put out good customer service. So for them, from what I've seen, nothing's changed from their perspective, but maybe that's just how they were instructed to act. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows what's really going on behind the scenes, right? But I mean, I
Exactly.
think I agree with you definitely that I can't imagine that something is not going to happen, and yeah, I think if the strike does happen, I mean, certainly it's going to be a big impact on the parcel market, both in probably a positive way for those smaller kind of regional, maybe last mile carriers that you were talking about there. But definitely going to be interesting to see how the market would react to that. But hopefully, things can be okay, and our shipper friends don't have too much disruption in their business or struggles in that way. So, really interesting to talk to you here, Ross, about this and learn more about Profit Trust. And if people are listening, they're interested in Profit Trust. I mean, what really is like the ideal customer for Profit Trust? Is it any shipper of any size, or where does it make sense?
So if you're doing somewhat decent volume, and when I say, anywhere from about $10,000 a month
Mm,
with FedEx, UPS, or DHL and up, you're probably a good fit for not only our platform, but to see some sizable refunds.
mm,
Because our clients are seeing anywhere up to 8 to 15% a month on their
wow.
spend back in refunds. And then don't forget, we also analyze a lot of their rate agreements to ensure that they've got the best possible rates for their volume.
Mm,
And sometimes we're saving clients up to 40%
wow.
on their shipping rates because they think they've got good rates and they do.
Mm,
But what do you know? You haven't looked at your rate agreement in 3 years, and now you've gotten to that next tier, and that next tier is going to put you at a 79% discount compared to your 59% discount. And if you're doing
mm,
somewhat good volume, that could save you a lot of money. So we
wow.
can help you on that end also. So it's interesting, but there's a lot of money that's being left on the table. I onboard shippers every single day, and they're always just so thrilled
Mm,
having come on to the system and seeing the refunds that they're just getting back. But most importantly, not having to do anything, more focus on their business, do what they do best, sell their products, manages their services, and let us do the heavy lifting and get you some refunds, get you the money back. Just pay what you're supposed to. That's what we tell our clients.
yeah.
Pay what you're supposed to pay for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the great thing about it too is like you said, you don't pay unless you save, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So, Ross, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about this. I think something certainly that maybe flies under the radar for a lot of people and really could be a potential great cost savings for your business. So, if you're interested in learning more about Profit Trust and potentially signing up, there's a link in the description, or you can check it out in the comments as well. I'll drop it over there. So definitely check out more with Profit Trust and save some money on your parcel shipping. So Ross, congratulations once again on the new son, and also thank you so much for joining me here on the new warehouse.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.